LP3, the need for metrics. I'm going to summarize this particular case, follow it with some questions and the resources needed for this particular case. The R&D company, in this case from our text, states that the selling price of the company's stock was at a 5-year low. This company was forced to slash their company dividends payments to save cash. Failed projects which were not reported led to about a $24 million financial loss in the company. Analysts were involved to decide what new projects the company was working on and the potential strength of the R&D projects in the company's pipeline. Some of the company's problems were creating value through the innovation process. Even though previously they had added new value to the existing products by using re-engineering, modification, and other improvements to their products. However, this knowledge and skills couldn't get the company through the current economic times. Innovation and customer recognized value was immediately needed. Al Gray, the head of the R&D company, knew what needed to be done, and he knew that they would need a plan to rectify the situation. This company needed every individual within the company to use their skills and their knowledge to achieve the goal that was needed. Al Gray had visual proof of where the problem laid and how it contributed to the company's failure. Now they needed a solution to fix the problem. He showed them many projects that were completed before the problem and other decisions or solutions were discovered. In this case, he pointed out that 12 high-priority projects were thought to be successful, but actually only 5 of them proved successful, producing a cash flow, and at this rate, company growth would be limited. He also showed the amount of money that was wasted with the remaining 7 projects, throwing millions of dollars away and stating that there was many reasons for the failure of the project. He could show examples of the numbers and information that he discovered. Many employees within the company thought it was their fault or the fault of the PMO that the project wasn't successful due to portfolio selection. Regardless of where one works, they need to realize that everything they do individually or as a company may not always be successful. Al Gray stated the importance of not waiting until the final phase of the 5-phase methodology to decide to cancel a project that might fail. As this company looked at the reasons for failure, they looked at each other and tried to determine who was to blame for it. They spent much time doing this rather than looking for a solution to their problem. The only thing this company knew and reported was budget, time, and risk involved. They had not covered the issues, problems, decisions, or solutions that may have been made throughout the project. It was decided some of the problems of the company were because they were lacking experience in metric management. They were experts on business-based metrics and not project-based management metrics. As a result of this, 6 members were chosen from different areas of the company to live up to the challenge and the task force of understanding and implementing metrics and KPIs that would be easy enough for everyone to understand and work with, without spending a lot of valuable time and not using it for the actual project they needed to be doing. In this case, I do question why it appears that in all of the team members there is no senior management used, as they should be because they have input in this case. The team needed to decide what metrics should be selected, how, when, and what will be reported, who will do the measurements, when and how they will be collected. They also needed to know how others would react to the new information and changes. The measurements could be done in many techniques and methods for every KPI situation. Having too many KPIs could change the focus of the team working on the project, and too few could cause problems with them not knowing what to do. It was challenging to agree on a set number of metrics because the variance in requirements. All KPIs have targets that are needed to measure an item to determine its relevance to the project that is being performed. It provides needed information on factors which can be controlled for positive decision making. KPIs also help determine the success or failure of a project. One must remember that KPIs are metrics, but metrics are only a sign or a warning of potential risk and are not used as KPIs. The company needed to expand the current metrics and the KPIs and realized that KPIs can change from one project to another and during the life cycle of each phase of a project. One of the things the company needed to do is categorize the metrics like quantitative, which is the percent of labor and budget that's used by the employees. Practical, progress of efficiencies used in resources for the project. Directional, better or for worse, risk ratings. Actionable is a factor that's used for understaffed hours. They also use financial, with such items as return on investments and profit margin. Milestones, which is how much work is performed during that time, and end results or customer satisfaction metrics. Metrics for this company should be based on categorization found in our text, which includes value-based metrics, which ensures the project meets all the requirements requested. The decision to use the metrics should involve converting them to target-oriented KPIs to avoid excessive detail, but that provides an accurate measurement of performance to everyone involved in the project. This would promote decision-making as well. This type of measurement needs consideration and deliberation to achieve. Sometimes there's a need for exit champions, which is when project exceeds and allows level of tolerance using an alert metric to indicate that situation. As the teams continued to research and share the information with the company, it gradually began to improve their process. Many decisions were made to prevent problems from arising and having to result in finding solutions to solve the problems. The team found out that metrics was a constant changing process that needed to be done to acquire metrics and get accurate metrics that were needed for each project. The best way that they could determine the outcome of the project would be to do surveys, which is based on different parts of the project. This would determine what parts of the project were done adequately and what needs to be changed in the future to be more successful. In this case, details many factors that can be used for the company to be proactive rather than reactive in finishing their projects. This R&D case also involves a lot of decision making, problem solving, and coming up with final solutions that will help the company and its employees be successful. And I'll cover the questions for this case. Can the failure of R&D be devastating to a company? I personally feel that one could overthink and react to a project that, such as R&D, to a point that you are looking for a difficult solution rather than a simple one. Just like other situations that might arise where we immediately expect the worst and are surprised when something turns out easy and can be fixed or adjusted simply. Quite often, it is a challenge for individuals to change as they are in a routine and they are used to doing things their own way, and they don't see the alternatives as something better or faster for them. Number two, When a project work goes bad or failure occurs, it's a common practice for finger pointing and laying blame to occur, even in executive level. Quite often within a company, we see that happen. Find that there are mistakes made in areas of needed work, and everyone is quick to say it is his fault, it is her fault, that it didn't get done and wasn't right. Admitting to mistakes and faults can sometimes be the hardest thing a person can do when they realize that they are just as much part of the project and activity as the next person. Number 3, what information was found in Exhibit 1? Some of the information in Exhibit 1 included things like the amount of work done on schedule and budget, quality of planned versus actual resources used, how complex is the project, what are customer satisfaction rates versus critical assumption of the project, what, if any, are the costs and schedule changes, what are the rate of personal turnover, overtime, and understaffed labor hours. It also includes schedule and cost variance as well as performance and index on these two areas. Number 4, what information is lacking on Exhibit 1? By comparing Exhibit 1 with the categories of metrics found in Exhibit 2, I feel that the first exhibit is missing directional metrics or risk rating of whether the project is getting better or worse. It seems to be missing some of the details of its financial metrics as well in this case. Number 5, is it possible that highly talented resources can overthink an overly project to the point where they look for a complicated solution rather than the simplest solution? It seems reasonable that at times technical resources become fixed on solving problems and in a specific way that might not be the simplest. Many times people have initial feelings to what the solution would be. They are so fixed on that they cannot see the alternatives, or they only see which alternatives they feel are the best. Number 6, is it good or bad to have 5 R&D projects out of 12 completed successfully? For one to decide whether or not it is good or bad to have 5 out of 12 successful, they would have to look at all the factors involved in the process and the product development. They would have to analyze the difference between process improvement and innovation for each project. To determine whether getting 5 done possibly with less satisfaction is better than 12 with no satisfaction, or 5 done with lack of time to finish the rest, you would have to look at a list of things when weighing the percentages to complete or have them uncompleted. Number 7, can PMO prevent failure? If there is a technical issue, as something is missing or things are required to complete a project, then PMO cannot prevent failure from occurring in that project. The only thing PMO may be able to do is realize the problem and take action to change and correct the problem. It may require that the PMO cancel a project if they feel it is a failure. Number 8, is it inherently dangerous to encourage a project manager to recommend that his or her project be terminated during early life cycle phases? If a project manager doesn't like the project, they have the right to cancel it. If a project manager has an active role in the objective assessment of the project through its life cycle phases, the project manager may be able to make changes as needed before the project is canceled or completed. Number 9, who, if anyone, should blame for the failure of the project in this case study? In this case study, we saw everyone blaming the next person for failure of the project. I feel in most cases it is the entire team to blame, as they all contribute to the final product and need to be helping each other for the project to be successful. Number 10 is Anne Hawthorne's description of engineers realistic. Engineers normally can solve a problem within the project with much independence and confidence. However, doing this may cause projects to be over budgeted and over timed and possibly cause project failure. Number 11, would you agree with Al Gray that the real causes of failure appear to be the lack of metrics? If this is the case, then how do you justify other projects which were not successful? I do agree with the project metrics being lacking in this particular case. Every project is different, and some may require the same metrics or different metrics to complete, resulting in some success of some and not the others. Number 12, should the PMO take lead in establishment of metrics? It is the PMO's job to take lead as a third party who would have less impact on internal situations. Each area needs metrics designed around their part of the project and any problems that it may have. The PMO should have an overall view of every area in the project in order to help ensure that the area of need is created and made for a successful project. Number 13, are a few days enough time to follow on meeting, and should the executives attend? If a company meeting is going to take place about a project, they should allow themselves ample time to prepare for this meeting so that everything will run smoothly and they'll provide everyone with adequate information to do the job. Yes, even the executives should be involved in this meeting if they have a role in the project that is being performed. Next, I have a list of the different references that I used for this project. They are listed on this page. Feel free to ask any questions or anything you might want to know about the case. Thank you.